Hi guys, welcome to our next Footy Index FAQs video. This one's going to be all about performance dividends. And this video is brought to you today by footystats.co.uk. This is my new data website, so be sure to check it out. So first off, let's start right at the basics. So there's basically three different kinds of performance buzz days. There's a single day, which is basically 1 to 4 games, a double day, 5 to 14 games, and a treble game, which is 15 plus games, or European quarterfinals, semi-finals and the final. And those you'll basically generate 4p for the top position each day on the single day, 8p on double day, 12p on treble day, and then the star is slightly different. It's basically half the amount that you'd get. So it's a nice little bonus for whoever is the star player that day. So moving on, how do you win? Okay, so you've got all the point scoring system here. So this isn't massively helpful because it's written in a really unhelpful way, but basically total shots means anytime they have a shot, they get 3 points. Anytime they have a cross, they get 3 points. However, it's important to note that these things all stack. So the most points you can earn from any one action is a game-winning goal. Now, down the bottom here, I've highlighted this. So for a game-winning goal, you'd get 40 points for the game-winning goal, 40 points for the goal, 18 points for the fact you're now winning the game, 5 for the shot on target, and 3 for the fact you've even had a shot. And that gives you a total of 106 points from one action in the game. Now, it's important to note that that score could reduce by 58 points just as quickly, because if the team equalises, you'd lose your game-winning goal of 40 points and you'd lose the win of 18 points. So bear that in mind. Your score can suddenly drastically drop if you lose those two things, but it just shows the power of this stacking. So another good example is crosses. So a cross is 3 points, an accurate cross is 4 points. So any accurate cross, you're effectively getting 7 points. Passing is the same. So it looks like if you fail at the pass, you get -3 points, but actually you get 1 point for the pass. So that becomes -2. Those are the main ones. Tackle 1 and tackle as well. So that's 3 points plus 5. So that gives you 8 points for a tackle. So that gives you an idea of how the scoring comes about and how it all stacks together. So with that in mind, there's lots of different formations in football these days. You've got your 4-4-2 diamond there. You've got a 5-4-1. You've got a 4-3-3. Now, with these scoring factors bear in mind, you have to think about there's different formations or different players that don't necessarily fit Football Index. So they don't perform that well. Now, I've sort of highlighted on this middle one an X for some of the players that you might want to reconsider buying. So the top of the 5-4-1, for example. So I'd call that a Lukaku type. So it's a lone striker. He's generally up on his own, winning the ball from like high up kicks. Might score a lot of goals, but realistically, he's not really got anyone to pass to. So he's not getting a lot of passes. When he is passing, he's normally doing it in a stressful situation, so he's likely to lose the ball and lose points that way. He's not going to be whipping any crosses in. So his opportunity to earn points apart from goals is limited. However, if you've got sort of a 4-3-3 formation and you've got a nice winger style Mo Salah type who can cut in, score a goal, regularly passes, can get out the wing and put crosses in, ideally is taking corners because that's effectively a cross every time they take a corner and put the ball in. So that's a good opportunity for strikers to earn extra points. That's the kind of player that you might want to be thinking about because their style of play will get them more points. Similarly, midfielders. Now, your generic box-to-box midfielder, probably not going to be doing that much, so not necessarily that valuable. Any midfielder that's got a goal in them is a good start. Got a goal in them, that's a good way to get an extra 40 points. If they're putting a lot of crosses in, again, extra points, well worth having. I mean, the other style of midfielder you might want to consider, and these ones are the sort of very tricky ones. It's your Brozovic type, effectively. So Brozovic and Cruz, you kind of pivot midfielders. Now, they're generally DMs. They're probably not picking up that many goals, but they're generally the functional pivot for their team, so they're going to be picking up an awful lot of passes because everything goes through them, and if they've got a high pass completion rate, they'll generally be scoring a very high average. The question is, have they got enough in the tank to get that peak score and win the dividends on that day? And it's a bit of a debate in the community at the moment. I know some people like it and some people don't. I myself hold Cruz and Brozovic, but it's not the end of the day. You know, I've won some dividends from them, but are they necessarily the star midfielders? Probably not. There's other guys out there who might be better, but I like their high scores, so I keep them in. You've then got sort of your defenders. People have been talking a lot about fullbacks versus centre-backs. Now, fullbacks, obviously you've got the promise of crosses, so that's a lot of extra points potentially, especially if you're a Trent Alexander-Arnold or Kyle Walker whipping them in regularly. If you've got a defender who can score a goal. Now, these goal-scoring defenders tend to be more the centre-back. So if you've got a centre-back who's up there challenging for headers, scoring goals, they could be worth having. Sergio Ramos takes penalties, so any defender that takes penalties is normally a good shout as well. But you need to think about these. So the reason I put 2X's on these defenders here is because generally they probably are not in the right place in this formation to earn points, because you're either going to be beaten by your fullbacks who are bombing on, putting in the crosses, or your functional pivot at the base of the defence in your sweeper position. So just think about what kind of position your player plays, and is he doing the kind of actions that are likely to give him a lot of points. And this, I found, has been a really helpful strategy in looking at what kind of players I want to buy, factoring in their scores, and then thinking about it in a full view, all in. So lastly, I just wanted to show you, these are basically the average scores that it took to win on these individual event days. So for a defender on a single day this season, 183 points has been the average score needed to win. Last season, it was only 162. This season, defenders seem to be leading the way on the higher scores, whereas last season it was midfielders. And you can see those star man scores have been pretty similar to last season. So to get up to the top player each day, you're going to have to get a pretty high score. But there's some interesting stuff there with the defenders, midfielders and forwards for you guys to have a look at. So that was kind of our breeze through performance buzz. If you've got any questions, pin one down in the comments or email me at noirx4@hotmail.com. That'll be down in the link below so you can see it. Cheers guys, let me know what you think.